In this episode, I'm going to 3 locations and showing 9 ghosts and or shadow people caught on camera.
Ep.6.
Shadow people are ghosts.
They are intelligent and self-aware. You see them out of the corner of your eye.
When ghost hunting or ghost detecting, they may come up to you pretty close, but usually stay in the next room or hide behind something.
But sometimes they stand still in the open because they want you to see them.
When they move faster than a living person can move.
The Dead Files TV show has lots of examples of shadow people.
I guarantee all the pictures that I'm presenting are authentic. They're not downloaded off the internet. These are pictures that I took on my own cameras with my index finger. Unfortunately, some of these pictures were on an SD card that got corrupted. I know, it's tragic. So some of these are a picture of a picture because I took a picture of the computer screen with my phone so that I could show those pictures to somebody else. So I apologize for that, but stuff happens. The first location is Savannah, Georgia. The city is definitely in the top 5 haunted cities in the United States, in my opinion. In the downtown historic area is Colonial Park Cemetery. The body count here is estimated to be somewhere between 40,000 to 80,000 people. I've actually heard over 100,000, but I think they were just blowing steam. But in any case, it's a stadium full of people are buried in this small area. And the cemetery was originally much larger, but streets, houses, fire station, etc. have been built on top of the land that was originally part of the cemetery.
Anyone who takes a cemetery tour, the tour guide will most likely mention somebody named Renee, who was a unhoused, homeless teenager, young person, and he most likely had an overactive pituitary gland, so he was very tall and probably had Down syndrome. So very tall, overweight, he looked different and sounded different, and that scared people. And there was a murder of a young girl that took place here. They needed a scapegoat, mob mentality, and he was conveniently there, so they grabbed him and hung him. Very unfortunate, very pathetic situation.
Who am I talking to? Doug? So this segment is, I think, 3 visits to Colonial Park Cemetery. And each time I go to the bar first to get a couple cold drinks to combat the humidity. I go over to the cemetery and use the spirit box and cameras, and I'm taking some still pictures, some of them with the flash, some of them without the flash. I also have a deer camera set up and just walking around asking who's there and can I take their photograph. Later on, I'm going through the pictures and I see this figure standing behind the fence on the right hand side, just to the left of that tree, It's pretty hard to see, and it shows up better on a monitor screen, camera monitor, but this is a picture of a picture. Initially, I thought this was a single male ghost wearing a Sherlock Holmes type hat and a overcoat or a shawl over the shoulders, or maybe a robe. And then when I saw it on a bigger screen, I realized he's holding a female in his arms. His left arm is under her knees. She has on a white dress or a nightgown, and it looks like his head is forward and his right ear is against her chest. He's got some deep dark eye sockets.
Can you help my daughter? Can you help us?
Some kind of a mood like that. If there's anybody who's a medium who can pick up on things from a picture, please leave a comment on anything that you pick up.
Do you know Renee? I'd like to talk to Renee. He's a boy, is that what you said? You got it?
As this video progresses, I'll show pictures that are much easier to see.
I'm going to throw in a couple more pictures, also at Colonial Park Cemetery. These are transparent ghosts standing on the other side of the fence about 20 feet away from me. This one looks like a female. It looks like a dress, unless guys wore dresses back then. They do now, but probably not back then. So this is probably a female, and her face looks like a skeleton. This other one is a side profile where someone's standing. This is their left side is facing the camera, and it looks to me like they're wearing pants.
So what do you guys think about these pictures?
It's not moss hanging down in front of the camera or something like that. And it's in a very active cemetery. Having ghost tours come through the cemetery, I think helps spike the amount of activity that's there, because there's always people constantly talking about the spirits, and from the spirit side, they're like, oh, they're talking about us, You know, it kind of stirs everything up. So there's just a lot of activity there all the time. There seems to be two varieties of Sasquatch in Florida. The more traditional size Bigfoot that's about 8 feet tall, and a smaller variety that's 5 or 6 feet tall that they call the skunk ape.
There is a species of ape that fits the description. I don't know what the name of the species is, but I believe they killed a couple of them in Vietnam during the war.
This is a video about shadow people and ghosts, so I'm not getting off the subject too far.
We have a lot of fish in this lake. We've got sunnies and crappies, bluegill, largemouth black bass, tilapia, lots of tilapia now. Anybody like tilapia? Yeah, if you like tilapia, you can come and take all the tilapia you'd like out of this lake. There is no limit to the size or the number you can take out here.
So I made several trips to the state park to look for evidence of Sasquatch or skunk ape. I think it was 5 trips in all, and I'll probably go back there again. So I go way back there, far away from the gift shop. But I believe it's 50 square miles of wilderness, so I'm only scratching the surface. And I'm putting out deer cameras, and then I go back 2 or 3 weeks later to check the cameras and then move the cameras somewhere else. I did see what I thought was a black panther, but it turned out to be a jacaranda, which is a non-native species of exotic pet. It was introduced by somebody in the 1920s or 1930s, so it's not a native. So I'm doing more filming while I'm walking because I'm seeing these animals and not getting them on, not being quick enough with the camera. So sometimes I'm walking with the camera already going, and and on one of those trips, I think it was the third trip, I'm filming and there's a dark shadow in the frame. I record video as I'm approaching these woods, and in the upper left corner there's a dark shape. I'm looking and listening for animals as I approach the woods, but I don't notice this dark shape for some reason. The camera sees it, but my eyes don't. I walk right past it, and I didn't see anything. Then I leave and take some wide shots behind me as I walk away. Once I get home, I dig through the pictures and discover a silhouette. Wow, there's a dude standing there.
Can you see me? I want you to see me. Know that I am here.
You know, how can you say that that's a face when it's zoomed in that much? It's hard to say if it's your imagination or if it really is a face. I was at an event where there was about 20 people doing a ghost hunt, and 3 of the women there were mediums, and one of them said she could pick up information just from a picture of a ghost. So I showed her this picture on my phone, and she came up with the letter H. So I don't know if that's the first initial, last initial, maybe it's some kind of military thing like H Company or homestead or hog farm. I don't know the history of the land, but H came up. So he's got lean to him. He's leaning, and the lighting is consistent with the trees. Like the trees are a little bit darker on the left side, and when I zoom in, his body is a little bit darker on the left side. There is facial features, and I kind of drew with my finger on my phone to kind of bring out some features so you can see them better. I know it looks like Santa Claus a little bit. He's got a sack over his left shoulder, and I was kind of dressed like him at the time. I had on a similar hat, and I had a backpack, and I was wearing long sleeves. You know, maybe he kind of saw me as like a peer because I was kind of dressed similar, and he's just saying hi or wanting to let me know he was there. In the subsequent visits after seeing the picture of this guy, I went to that same area and checked it out because I thought there might be a burned out tree stump or something shaped like a person. I looked all around, used some different ghost hunting equipment, and there wasn't anything there, nothing that could be confused as a person.
Stay tuned for one more location.
In the late 1800s, Ybor City was a swampy area outside of Tampa, Florida. There was a wave of immigrants that came in, mostly from Cuba, but also from Germany and Italy. And it became the world's largest cigar manufacturing area in the world.
The influx of people led to the creation of social clubs where people could see a doctor, have some food, get a drink, see a play, attend a dance, have a coffee, and interact with similar people. The current Cuban club was built in 1917. There was a previous club in the same spot that burned down in 1916. The 4 main ghost stories there are a boy who drowned in the basement swimming pool.
And there's a ghost of a woman who was attending a dance on the third or fourth floor, and she was pushed off the balcony by some jealous drunk
Asshole.
There was an actor who hung himself on stage following a bad performance where he forgot his lines. I want to say he wrote the play himself, and there was somebody in the audience he wanted to impress.
And there's a guy who was on the board of directors. I'm not sure if it was the president or somebody else in the board of directors of the Cuban Club who was skimming money, and they confronted him in a board meeting and shot him in the face.
The police came out from Tampa and questioned people, but nobody really knew who shot him. They wouldn't say who shot him.
So there was no charges ever filed. The area was largely lawless. There was gangs and speakeasies and brothels and a lot of gang drive-by shootings back then. So I'm taking a tour group. There's like 30 people, including children. And as we move through the building, the tour guide is trying to keep everybody in a group. And I feel like I have a better chance at catching something on camera if I'm not standing in a crowd. So I keep lingering back as the tour group moves on. And so they've all gone up to the top floor, which is the ballroom, and I'm on the floor below.
I'm taking a few pictures, and then I start walking up the stairs, and I see out of the corner of my right eye some kind of shadow movement, like a smear of shadows moving across the wall, and I think, ooh, ghost, the shadow people over there. So I immediately take some pictures. So I took a few snaps, and I'm standing where the green avatar is, and the arrow is the direction that the camera is pointing towards that ticket booth. And those ticket booths are small. There's only room for one person to stand in there. And in the picture, it looks like three figures. It looks like two males wearing hats that are crouched down, and then a woman standing in the back. And the woman has some color to her, and I've enhanced the color. So it looks like a maroon dress, or like a red sequin dress, maybe a 1920s kind of a dress.
I think if I include these three figures, I think we're up to about 8 pictures of ghosts now in this video.
I scurry up the stairs to catch up with the group.
I'm thinking, okay, right now, since everyone's up on the top floor, all the ghosts are hanging around the stairs down below, and there's these big mirrors on every level of the stairs, so people attending parties can check themselves out in the mirror, check their makeup and whatever as they go up and down the stairs. So I thought, okay, the mirror is like a window to the downstairs, so I can take a picture in the mirror and see what's down below.
So I take a bunch of pictures, or a few pictures, into the mirror, and at first I don't use a flash, and I don't see anything with my eyes, and I don't see anything at the moment. It's later on, like hours later, that I zoom in and I see stuff.
So I got this really great picture of a shadow person standing on the floor below. He's on the 3rd floor. I'm up on the top floor, ballroom. There's some smudges on the mirror, which you don't want to confuse that with a misty ghost or anything. It's just greasy smudges from people.
He's holding something in his right hand and wearing a hat and a zoot suit. This is a very popular style of suit in the 30s, probably early 40s, late 30s.
You can see the pattern on the floor is completely blacked out.
It's not a stationary thing. It moves from frame to frame.
So that's my video. I'm wrapping it up finally. And I wanted to do a video where I'm showing stuff that I found instead of always searching. I can't always be searching for a Bigfoot, etc. I have to occasionally find something.
And so this kind of brings up the back end of some stuff that I've caught in the last few years.
If you thought this video was interesting, give it a like, give it a comment, and you might want to hit that notification button, because the next episode, episode 7, is most likely going to take place in New Orleans and show a shadow creature caught on video, so it's movement on video instead of just a still picture. And strangely enough, I was a witness to a UFO while I was ghost hunting, so that's a strange twist on the next video, episode 7. So hit that notification button so you're notified in the loop when that comes out. Thanks for watching.